Well, good afternoon and welcome to Overdevest Nurseries on a very pleasant early autumn day here in what we call our pot and pot operation on the nursery. This is, as you see, where we grow our trees. And I'm using this video as a little bit of a suggestion that when you're out and about and visiting our partnering garden centres, that you do so at different times of the year. In fact, I would suggest that what you do is go in and visit those garden centres at different times of the year, specifically because then that's when you're going to notice some of the beautiful plants that are there that you might want to be able to grow and enjoy in your gardens. Take, for example, this plant here with its beautiful heart-shaped leaves. And if you were in the garden centre now, you'd probably look at this and probably not pay a whole lot of attention. You might say, yes, it is pretty heart-shaped foliage, and it seems to be a little shorter and stockier than other varieties of redbuds, but you'd probably walk right by it. But see this very same plant in springtime when it's loaded with masses of beautiful bright pink flowers, and that's when you'd probably be definitely wanting to find out a whole lot more about it. Just for the interest of what it is, this is Cercis Don Egolf, a really beautiful, tight, compact and very sturdy variety of redbud that's perfect for smaller sites, and one that, as you will see now in a moment or two, is really very pretty and I think has got a lot going for it in our gardens. This certainly resembles our native Eastern North American redbud, but it's different because this is a selection of the Chinese redbud, a variety known as Cercis Don Egolf. It's a selection that was introduced by the National Arboretum in 2000, and what's neat about it is a lot of different things. The first, as you see, is that this is a tight, compact grower with upright branches, and one that only grows to about 6 to 8 foot high, and after 15 or maybe 20 years might get to about 10 foot high by about the same wide. So as you see, it's a really neat plant to put into a tight, compact space, the sort of plant that you would put perhaps in courtyards or patios, or even think about growing in a container. And now in springtime, as you see, it's really unusual in that it has masses of these beautiful mauve pink flowers that it carries like our native redbud on the stem. This botanically is known as caulifloris, a really unusual thing in that trees that carry their flowers directly on the branches and trunks of the tree. Highly unusual and certainly very spectacular after our winter and the dull sort of cloudy, rainy, cold weather of wintertime, to come out into the garden and to see plants like this that are, as you see, absolutely encrusted with lots of these gorgeous flowers. It's a plant that will grow in a sunny or partially shaded site. Really not too fussy about soil conditions as long as it's free draining, and that is important because, as you can tell when you look closely at these flowers, it belongs to the pea and bean family, which usually means that they like well-drained conditions, and this one is really no exception. Also, when I'm on the subject of plants that come from the pea and bean family, they're notoriously poor transplanters if you try to plant them bare root. So as you see, what we're doing with these plants here is that we're growing them in containers, in pots, which means that you can safely and very easily transplant them when it comes to that stage. They carry the flowers now in early spring. It's really interesting how they open up, and as you have it in the garden, you'll see that it attracts all sorts of pollinators, particularly long-tongued bees, and when they land on the flower, flowers. It's kind of neat the way the body of the bee pushes down the lower part of the flower, and then as it gets into the interior part of the flower to get at the nectar, it rubs its tummy on the pollen, and that's how it pollinates our red buds. Really neat in that you'll bring in lots of bees when these come into flower in the springtime. Add to that the fact that it is, as you see, really colourful. The flowers are a little bigger than our native redbud, and then after the flowers go over, it'll carry large kind of glossy green heart-shaped leaves too, to carry the display on through the summertime, and then going into the fall will often give a very nice yellow autumn colour too. So a really neat, compact, and I nearly forgot to mention, sterile selection. This is one that was selected at the National Arboretum from seed that was imported from central China, Yunnan province, the home of a lot of very fine plants that have come to us, species that have come to us to really enrich our gardens here in the West. The seed was sown in 1986, and then out of that they noticed that there was one particular seedling that seemed to be more compact and bushy and looked like it had potential, and after they tested it for 5 years they found out that it was sterile. So this is one that's never going to produce any seeds, so you don't need to worry about seedlings coming up in the garden with this variety. And then it was introduced by the National Arboretum in 2000, as I say, and named Don Egolf after the famous plant breeder that was at the National Arboretum, Dr. Donald Egolf. A really unusual and very highly colourful plant for zone 6 and warmer zones. It's a plant that certainly will, I think, create a lot of interest when you have it growing in your garden, and particularly useful for tight spaces where you can enjoy these absolutely gorgeous flowers. This is Cercis Don Egolf. So when you're out and about visiting the garden centres, try to stop in at different times of the year, because in the nursery we're sending plants out all the time when they're coming up to their peak. So what you'll see in springtime will probably be quite different to what you'll see in early summer, and then in midsummer and in the fall. And of course, the essence to a really good garden is to have plenty of colour and interest through the whole gardening year. This is David Wilson. Enjoy your gardening. It's good for us, and it's good for our environment too.